Hey everybody, this is Rev J with Rev J Rides, and I am on Charlotte Road, which is the same road as Charlotte Pike. Charlotte Pike is in Nashville, Charlotte Road is on the outskirts of Nashville. Anyways, heading towards a park where I'm going to have a little quiet time. Again, that's one of my favorite things to do, is to ride out to a quiet time. Some nice setting, park or whatever. That's what I enjoy doing. It feeds my soul. God feeds my soul that way. Just wanted to share something with you. I just left a lunch that I had with a friend. This friend is in motorcycle ministry, such as I am. It's not the same one. Mine, the one that I'm a part of, is Faith Riders. His is another. Not going to name it, doesn't matter. It's as good as Faith Riders. They're all, all the ones that I'm aware of, Christian motorcycle ministries, are good, as far as I know. Maybe some trouble with one here or there, but I've not heard of it. So I just want to say this. My brother and I sat down together at that lunch and broke bread and had some fellowship. And he shared some things with me that I could be praying for. And I shared some things that he could be praying for. And had a good time together. Isn't it good when you have brothers in Christ who truly care? That's such an awesome thing. Now, I have some that are Faith Riders and that I worship with on a regular basis. I have those. But sometimes I get outside of those circles, and it's good to find more brothers, more family of God further out that I didn't know about. Just know, if you need somebody to pray with or pray for you, all you've got to do is reach out. And I'm not saying I know every person in every state or anything, but I would be willing to bet if you have a prayer concern and if you let me know, I could get somebody in your state, in your area, to come pray for you. I think that's true. If it's not true, I will apologize, but I think between Faith Riders and the other Christian ministries, motorcycle ministries that I'm aware of, I think we could do that. Here we are back at Montgomery Bell State Park, just like I was the other day. This time I think I'm going to go try to sit down in that old church. There's an old church on this property. That would be a great place to have a quiet time. Spend some time with the Lord. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if it's empty and available for me. So here's the old church I was talking about in Montgomery Bell State Park. This church was actually founded in 1810, it said. Now, it's not the same congregation. I mean, I know you all know that. It's not 200, there's no 200-year-old people, but sometimes, families pass it on down and there is a congregation left, but they do still worship here, some people do. It's just not an ordinary congregation. They even got the lights on. They left the lights on for me. That's cool. But here you go inside this little chapel, and they have services here from Labor Day Memorial Day to Labor Day. So those services are no longer going on. But here you go. So here they have a pulpit with the Bible on it. They've got a organ and some music and a piano. Got some pews out there. Nice old church. I'm gonna sit down and have a little quiet time. So during my quiet time, I was sitting out there on that front pew in this church, and I found a verse in my Bible right over here, and I decided to come look at this Bible that's on the pulpit up here. Here's the pulpit, and I went ahead and opened this Bible here to the same verse. It's just a different translation is all.
being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. That's Philippians 1:6. Excellent verse there. Speaking of which, God is the one that starts the work in us. It's not us. We don't do the work. We don't start the work. We don't complete the work. God does that. He starts the work. He continues the work, and he completes the work. I sit in this old church. Has its work been done? Maybe it has. I don't know. There's a lot of old churches that have been around for a long time. This building right here, or the congregation that used to meet in this building, started in 1810. The church that I was recently a part of had been a church since 1886. Old churches and newer churches are struggling right now in many ways. This church doesn't meet every Sunday, and there's not really a congregation. This is more of a meeting place for people who come to this park. But the fact that this was set aside for God's work and is still being used for God's work, we don't know. This church right here, this building, people meet in it every Sunday throughout the summertime when they're on vacation or vacationing in this park or something. And you never know. There may be 1 or 2 or 10 that get saved along the way. And that's important. God is the one who does the work. God is the one who starts it, does the work in the meantime, and finishes it. So he's the one that decides when a church is finished. And there are times when a church is finished. He tells us in Revelation that he'll remove a lampstand if a church is not doing the right things. That's a bigger subject for another time, but for right now, if the church is not doing what he's called them to do, he will remove their lampstand, which means they will not be a church anymore. The Spirit of God will not be upon that church. Man, I really appreciate having friends who pray for me, with me, and it's a joy to pray for others and with others, which I did today. Both of those things happened. Somebody prayed for me, I prayed for them, so on. But churches are supposed to be that. We're supposed to be the army of God, sticking together to accomplish God's will. And we're supposed to be the family of God, loving and caring for one another in times when we need it. And I'm glad that I have a family like the family of God. Hey, he who began a good work will be faithful to bring it to completion. God bless. So I've just left the park, had a good little visit there, had some time alone with the Lord. And as you heard, I prayed together earlier today with a friend of mine. When you combine all that, it turns out that God's at work right now. Just after praying and just after reading a little bit of my Bible, I got a phone call, and God is up to something good. Hey, please hit like, share, and subscribe.